Blacksmiths continued striking glowing iron upon their anvils, their rhythmic hammering echoing across the valley. Every Sunday, families gathered inside small stone churches. Candles flickered softly as prayers filled the quiet air. The familiar voices of neighbors offered comfort, and for a little while, the worries of daily life seemed far away. Yet, outside those peaceful walls, the forests waited.
Generations of villagers had grown up listening to stories told beside warm fireplaces during long winter nights. Grandparents spoke of mysterious creatures hidden among forgotten valleys. Hunters shared tales of unusually large wolves that left enormous tracks after heavy snowfall. Woodcutters claimed they had heard strange cries echoing through the mountains after sunset, sounds unlike anything they had heard before. Most people smiled politely whenever these stories were told. Every village had its legends. Every forest carried its own secrets. As the years passed, those stories usually faded into little more than entertaining conversations shared over evening meals. Still, one simple rule remained unchanged. Never remain inside the forest after dark. Not because everyone believed monsters existed, but because darkness transformed even familiar places into dangerous ones. A twisted tree root could become a deadly fall. A thick blanket of fog could hide the safest path home. And somewhere beyond the reach of firelight, wolves sometimes began to howl. Their voices echoed from one mountain to another, creating a chorus that seemed far larger than the number of animals themselves. Children often paused to listen. Visitors sometimes felt uneasy. The villagers, however, simply closed their doors a little earlier and placed another log upon the fire. It was the sound of nature, nothing more. At least, that was what they believed. As summer slowly settled across Gévaudan in the middle of 1764, the fields grew greener than ever before. The sheep became healthy. The harvest promised to be plentiful. Travelers moved peacefully between villages, carrying grain, cloth, and handmade goods to local markets. Everything suggested that the year would be an ordinary one. No one noticed the subtle changes taking place beyond the tree line. Hunters occasionally mentioned finding unusually large footprints in soft woodland soil. Some claimed that the tracks resembled those of a wolf. Others insisted they were far too large. A few dismissed them altogether, believing rain had simply distorted the prints. No one argued for very long. After all, unusual tracks appeared from time to time. There was always a reasonable explanation. Then shepherds began reporting that their dogs behaved strangely near certain parts of the forest. Animals that normally barked with confidence suddenly refused to move forward. Some tucked their tails between their legs. Others stared silently into the trees, as though sensing something invisible hidden among the shadows. Even experienced hunters found this behavior difficult to explain. Dogs had remarkable instincts. They often noticed danger long before humans did. Still, life continued. Markets remained busy. Church bells rang each morning.
Families gathered for meals exactly as they always had. No one imagined that within days, the peaceful routine that had remained unchanged for generations would be shattered forever. Somewhere inside those silent forests, something had already begun to watch. And before long, it would step out of the shadows for the very first time.
As the sun rose over the hills of Gévaudan each morning, life returned to its familiar rhythm. Thin ribbons of mist drifted across the valleys, while the first rays of sunlight touched the tops of ancient pine trees. Birds welcomed the new day with gentle songs, and the cool mountain air carried the comforting scent of damp earth and fresh grass. For the people who lived here, each day began long before sunrise. Farmers stepped outside with wooden buckets in hand, ready to milk their cows before the morning chill disappeared. Horses waited patiently beside old barns, while chickens wandered freely through small village yards, scratching the soil in search of insects. The work was never easy.